Welcome to Hornet Soccer here on Hornet Radio. Hi, I'm the old guy along with Joe and Ryan Osborne as we get ready to bring an exciting men's soccer match today as Fullerton takes on Cuyamaca. And Ryan Osborne, that should be a wild game today. You know what? I know you and I walked up there and talked to Greg for a while because I had heard, since I do a couple different soccer matches around and clubs around here on the community college level, that it should be a goal fest tonight when you look at these teams because they got nobody in the goal. Yet you and I talked to Greg, and Greg quickly refuted that conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, especially when you look at this Fullerton College team. As you mentioned, this is a team that can score, but on the flip side, it's a team that can get scored on. And if you have that combination, it's tough to get wins in Southern California, let alone going up to Northern California. As we were talking to Greg, he said that some of the teams that they played up in Northern California, plain and simple, bar none, are some of the best and top 5 teams, not just in the state, but in the nation. He said that West Valley, probably the best program in terms of a soccer team this season that he has seen across California. You go up there, you play that tough competition. It's going to be tough to keep those goals against down. Now, when you look at tonight, as you mentioned, these two teams can score. And when you look at Cuyamaca, you're averaging close to a goal and a half per game. That's going to get you a lot of success in Southern California, especially considering they've only given up 1 goal across their last 3 matches.
And Joe, when Ryan brought up the fact with scoring right now, the leading scorer for this Fullerton team is Palacios. I know it's not a lot of goals, but he's the one it seems like that the offense has been built around. You've been around so much that we know this has been a defensive unit. Is this going to be that one where we look for the 2 all-stars and they're going to have to put a lot of goals to win anything in the OEC?
I mean, we're 5 games in, and it certainly seems that way out of the gate so far, right? The Hornets are 1-2-2 so far in this season. They've managed to put a lot of goals into the back of the net. I think more goals in the back of the net this year on the start, potentially, versus what they started last season at. But on that flip side, much like you said, much like Ryan said, they've also allowed more goals. Now, what's changed? Is it something on the back line? Is it something about a goalkeeper? I know you said you talked to Greg. We looked at the stats, and their main keeper this season had most of the minutes last season. So we know there's some solid goalkeeping on this squad. Is it losing Evan Yole and having somebody as a defensive general on the back line? I mean, there's some answers, and hopefully we'll get some more as the season trucks on.
That's the other thing, too. You lose Max Ron, as you mentioned there, Joe. 36 goals that this team scored last season. 23 of those goals were scored by guys who are no longer with the program, having moved on to the next level. So it's going to be difficult not just to replicate that scoring, but that leadership as well. I mean, you even go to a guy like Max Ron. He played here 1 season. That's how good he was. He led the team in scoring, was also instrumental on that back line on the left-hand side. You lose a guy like that, you're losing both offense and defense. So it's difficult to be able to replicate that, and also not just replicate, but replace it. How do you replace it? Do you replace it with underclassmen? Do you replace it with someone who has already been here with the program? And that's kind of been the answer so far here, Mark, for this Fullerton College team. As you heard, just talking about Steven Martinez a few moments ago, his backup in Alexis Villanueva is someone who has already had familiarity with this program.
Well, it's interesting. You and I had a conversation earlier today, and I said, you know, I guess people would want to look back to 2018 where they had 11 shutouts in that season, which set a school record here at Fullerton College. And you turned around and looked at me and said, that isn't even one of their best teams. So that's the big question. Is it that defensive team that's going to win it, or are we looking for that variety, little of defense, little of offense, and a lot of 2-to-1 games?
You know what? I think it's going to be a little bit of trying to figure out where your midfield is, because your back line is set. You've got guys like Brandon Acevedo, Andrea Ariola, David Juarez, and even a guy like Brian Polmonter, who can shore up that back line for you. But the question is, can your midfield control the neutral area? Can they control the middle of the park, going from, if you're looking at it online, looking at Hornet or Hal Scherbeck Field, going from the 30 to the 30? Who controls that area? Fullerton's midfield can continue to do so and actually get that success here tonight, move that forward. That's how they can be dominant, because their back line is going to be steady and taking the ball away and preventing chances. But can their midfield move the ball up the park to give them control?
Well, and we look at Brian Hyatt Alou, who is he's coached for 20 years in soccer. He played professional soccer in Australia. This is a man who's been head coach at Cuyamaca for 8 years. Ryan Osborne, 7 of those 8 years have been outstanding for this Cuyamaca team. So it's today, I think it's going to be that Skull Fest. I'm going to make this a 4-3 game.
Oh, you're going really high score.
I am. I'm going to go 4-3 because
Okay.
Joe's got something to say during the entire game. And if there's no goals going on, Joe, you and I are going to stare at Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good plan. I like that plan. I like it a lot.
I say let's have more goals, less staring at Ryan. But also, you look at these two teams, as you guys were saying just a second ago, these two teams have a lot of familiarity with each other. You look at Fullerton College and Cuyamaca, they have continually played a home-and-home series from now all the way back to 2018. You go back, that's 7 different seasons if you include tonight. Fullerton College in that time is 5-0-1. That includes a playoff win right here at Fullerton College 3 years ago as well. So the last time these two teams played each other was last year, 2-0 Fullerton College win. Previous year before that, they played here, 3-1 Fullerton College win. In that span, 15-4, Fullerton College has outscored Cuyamaca, and this is not a Cuyamaca team that is not good. This is a team that, as you said, Mark, lots of success in the time that they have been under their head coach. They've made the playoffs 5 different times. They have advanced to round number 2 4 different occasions. So this is not a team that is slacking. Fullerton College has just had the upper hand in this matchup.
Well, and Joe, when you talk about great coaching, you talk to Greg Alon. Brian has already been Coach of the Year. He's been Pacific Coast Coach of the Year there. He's done that over at Cuyamaca. And here's the thing. Last year when the season ended, both these teams didn't get where they wanted to be. Fullerton at the end of the year ranked 10th. Cuyamaca ranked 17th. So Ryan, Joe, they come into this season, even though the rankings have not come out yet, as top 20 teams that are taking each other on. And Joe, that's the thing. I think this comes down to coaching, and we'll see if the coaching, because you've been around enough, you can tell me why this game goes on, if Greg has changed any of his philosophy as a soccer coach.
Well, that's a tall order that you put out there, Mark. You also mentioned Brian, Coach of the Year honors. Greg, the last, I think, 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken, is OEC Coach of the Year. So over here at Fullerton College, he has a prolific program as well. 3-time OEC conference winning coach. So, yeah, OEC Coach of the Year 2018, 2023, and 2024. I thought he had it in, well, this would be.
Yeah, and that's for the state. When you look at 18, 19, 22, 23, and 24, those are the OEC Coach of the Year. And I'm going to say it again. I know you've already touted, and the people in Northern California love Ryan Osborne. The best soccer programs in general are here in the OEC. I've been told that by 4 soccer coaches. And no, they're not all OEC soccer coaches. The Long Beach coach said to me, you know, one conference you don't want to be in is the OEC.
And that's the thing. You look at the OEC, a lot of these teams get into the playoffs because of the depth that they have in this conference. And the biggest thing, too, is that you look at all the contenders. You look at teams like IVC. You look at Cypress, Fullerton. Saddleback has also been there as well since reviving their program. So you look at a multitude of teams. Santa Ana, who has had their good seasons. The 90s, they were dominant across the OEC.
And their bad seasons.
And their bad seasons as well. But that's a traditional program in Southern California. The OEC is continually stacked. I want to go to you, Mark, because you have seen more Cypress in the early going this season. You look at the rest of the Orange Coast Conference, and yes, they haven't played each other yet to this point. But you look at what you have seen from the rest of the Orange Coast Conference, Saddleback and Cypress. How would you measure up those two teams in the brief time that you have seen them compared to last year?
I think last year, for both of them, they were better. I really do. I think Cypress is good. Now, I've been told by the Cypress coaches, quote unquote, these are some of the best teams we have had. So when they're going on. But I think this is a year for Fullerton to win the OEC easily because of the competition in both of them. And that's one of the things that we look at. So when you talk about it, as we are right now, I saw Cypress lose to Long Beach City College, a game that they never should have lost. They never should have lost it. I think the coaching needs to pick it up. And, we just had an intense man up here in the booth. You need to look at that, and we'll hand out all our gifts later when we get a break. But it's the intensity, and I'm going to say right now, Fullerton gives me the feeling that they should. Cypress should be second, and BJ should have the men from Saddleback around in third place. That's an early look. That's the way. But I haven't seen this Fullerton team in person, and I tell you what, when I've looked at stats, I've gone, holy moly. If they can't stop anybody, Joe, they're in trouble.
Well, that's another thing you mentioned. Last few years in a row, Greg has been fielding some amazing teams. He's had some amazing players coming here to Fullerton College. And then, let's say some, if not straight out prolific players, some borderline prolific players with names like Max Ron, who come here, play 1 year, and then get scooped up and goes on to bigger and better things. So could this be a weird year where Greg and his program here have been on fire? They've been trucking along, but then this is almost a rebuilding year because he's had so many quality players coming through the program. He now has a new group of players that he needs to get back up to that level that he expects his guys to play at.
And that's really the difference with this program that we've seen in the last few years is how well they are able to integrate those freshmen and their redshirts as well. I think if you're looking for a program in Southern California that uses the redshirt system extremely well, it's this Fullerton College program, because those redshirts have the opportunity not only to see what it's like to be in a game, but also they are helping making sure that everyone is up to the ready for the start of Orange Empire Conference play, which is a cliche, right, for most teams. Most teams just go, well, of course we want our red shirts to go out there and help for practices and everything. But the difference with Fullerton is that they use their red shirts in their starting 11 during practices. You don't see that across California because a lot of times it's guys who have their 11. They have their 18 that they're going to roll out consistently. There's a difference here with Fullerton. They will make sure that those underclassmen who aren't going to play yet or aren't ready yet still get a chance to learn with the top groups.
Yeah, I think the most amazing thing when you look at community college soccer in California, so many of these coaches have been professional players. You look at somebody like Brian Hyatt Alou. He played at Cal Baptist, Point Loma Nazarene. That soccer field is incredible. And then he went on to play in the Australian Premier League, which I mentioned. And then for the San Diego Blaze, Ryan, these are not just people who worked in education. These are pros teaching the pro game to community college players, and that's why it makes community college soccer a high standard of soccer in California.
Well, I'll also switch it to the experience that the coaches have as well at the community college level. Look at Kenny Castellanos and also Greg Aviles. Greg Aviles played 2 years at Santiago Canyon and was an all-conference selection. Kenny Castellanos played here at Fullerton, also earning honors as well. These are guys who have gone through the community college system. They understand what it is like to grind at the community college level and be able to go on to the next level and have success not only in community college, but in a 4-year as well. For these two coaches here on Fullerton's side, they can relate to a student athlete a lot better because they have been there themselves.
Yeah, hear to what they do for the student athletes here at Fullerton, what they do for Cypress, Orange Coast, Irvine Valley, Santa Ana, you name them. These are educators who care about the young people who play for them.
So coming up in just a couple of moments, we're going to have the starting lineup in addition to the national anthem. We'll step away for the national anthem briefly, but before we get there, Ryan Osborne, joined by Joseph Pavlenko and Mark Pavlovich, pressing all the buttons and making sure we're live is Becky Nguyen here on a Tuesday. Now, previously this was Football Fridays. We're renaming it. Now it is the weekday kickoff. And if you have any issues with that, well, you can blame me. That's the best I could come up with. I'm getting blank stares, but again, I'm not that creative. So that's what we're going with. Weekday kickoff.
We've got Manic Mondays.
It's not a Monday.
Tap Dance Tuesday.
Taco
I like
Tuesdays.
Tap Dance Tuesday.
You've
It's
got
not a Monday.
Hump Day's Wednesday.
You're just
Friday.
audience.
Friday or Thursday is Friday Eve, and then you have Friday. Okay,
Yeah,
we can't do anything clever.
I tried. Listen, there's only so much alliteration you can have before the brain starts to shut off. Okay?
Yeah, and realize, Joe, a clerk doesn't have to
Oh.
be creative.
Listen to this. Touchline Tuesdays.
I thought about touchline Tuesdays, but that
Throw-in
just
Tuesdays.
that implies that the ball is going out of bounds and it's not as exciting as a play.
Throw
So
in.
Direct toe Tuesday?
that's terrible.
It's different.
Get your week in the right direct tone.
What is happening?
We always have fun, and we hope you enjoy our broadcast because we do watch it as fans like you.
So we'll step aside for a moment for the national anthem. When we come back, starting lineups as we get set for Fullerton and Cuyamaca here on Hornet Radio. So as we get set here in just a little bit, Mark, I'll toss it to you. Fullerton and Cuyamaca, this is going to be a good one this afternoon.
Joe, one thing I want to talk about the field that we're at right now. We're at the football field here at Hornet,
Yeah,
the
football
Hornet
field.
field. Basically, it's the Hal Scherbeck field. I've always had sort of problems watching the football field, and I had somebody over at Saddleback said, you know, most of the schools should make traditional soccer fields for their players. You love the game of soccer. You go to pro games down in San Diego. I got to ask your opinion, just as audience, if it bothers you having a soccer game on a football field.
I mean, having them have their own dedicated field would be great. Part of it, I think, in some campuses, it just comes to a logistics thing of space. We do have a space where the soccer team used to play, where the women's team still plays. Feels a little more like weekend club soccer, though. There's something about being here at Hal Scherbeck Field with the risers and the grandstands and the press box that makes it feel a little larger than life. And I don't know how you make soccer stand out a little bit more here aside from temporarily rolling out different carpet, and that just seems like far too much work.
Oh, okay. Because, I mean,
It's
I
also
had,
a lot of carpet.
yeah, because I had B.J. Nichols. You know, they've got at Saddleback, they've got their football field. In the back, they have a practice
They
field.
have
and
two practice fields.
And they have a regulation soccer field. And when I asked B.J., the soccer team would prefer to be on the soccer field in the back because it is regulationally marked. And he said it's bigger than a lot of the people do here on the football fields because they have tracks around them. They can only go so far out. He said if you checked a lot of the fields on a football field, you'd find out they may not be regulation fields.
So is there a window of regulation and they're just skewing on the smaller side of that spectrum?
Yeah,
That is exactly it. So there is a specific size that you can't go any smaller than and a specific size you cannot go any larger than. Anything inside of that is completely okay.
Yeah, and
that's why if you're watching Division I soccer and you look at Cal State Fullerton, they have one of the largest pitches in the entire NCAA Division I. If you watch Division II or Division III and you watch Cal Poly Pomona, they have the smallest regulation size that you can possibly
Yeah.
have.
Look
So
at that, Mark. I learned even soccer
you learned a
fields.
little from me,
Yeah,
huh?
like
How
even-
about that,
even
Brian?
soccer fields are on the
Woo!
spectrum.
Educator.
As we are underway with the weekday kickoff, the brilliantly named show here that we have on Hornet Radio.
Those are words.
Fullerton College gets the ball. They'll sky it over towards the right, and we're underway. Fullerton College is going to be in the navy blue kits going from right to left. On the other side for Cuyamaca, they are in the very Argentine style of kit with the white uniforms with, we'll call it sky blue paneling going up and down, kind of racing stripes, if you will. And their numerals are going to be in all black outlined in white. Heavy collision on the far side as it is Jack Overton who goes for the ball, ends up giving it up to David Suarez. Suarez takes a shot. That's going to be up high. Does it get deflected? And it seems like it does. So it's a corner kick for Fullerton College.
Ryan, you talked about the amount of yellow cards that you've already seen for Fullerton. Guys, I'm going to tell you, the games I've watched, the referees that I have watched lately are allowing the game of soccer to be more physical than you may be used to.
Do, 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 do.
Educator.
Lace down the middle. That one gets deflected away. Cuyamaca looking to run. Taken away by Victor Renteria. Renteria had 2 assists in his last match. Areola brings that down off the head, and it will go into the awaiting arms of Francisco Martinez. Quickly, let's get to the starting lineup for the opposing Cuyamaca Coyotes. Cuyamaca with Francisco Martinez in goal and Diego Mendez directly in front of him. Carlos Montes Jr. and Josue Franco. In addition to Victor Renteria and Esteban Salais, Ali Al-Maliki is going to be on the left-hand side with Josue Reyes-Cortez and Juan Antonio Miranda, joined by Marcos Santillan. Right-hand side, little check in there. That's going to go in. It's a goal. So very early, Cuyamaca gets on the board, and that is a marker for them as they get a little cross on this right-hand side, and it will go for a goal. Cuyamaca on the board, a cheeky little floater over towards that left post, and it is knocked in. Cuyamaca is there. And Mark, just like that, it's a quick strike for the opposing Cuyamaca side that needed to get on the board fast.
Yeah, and Ryan, it happens in the first 2 minutes of the half. I mean, we look at it, and that's the thing that was amazing. You look at the 42-minute mark, just about 42-40, right around there. And it got in. And again, I'm going to go back to the defense. If you watch the defense on that, Ryan, you allowed the attacker just to roam down there and be able to get right on top of the goalie. And if you do that, you should score, and that's what they did.
That's exactly what happened, Mark, as Cuyamaca gets on the board. That one's skied away. We'll get you the scoring in just a couple of moments as it was a little frenzy inside the box. But as Fullerton College tries to recover, it's a difficult one here for Fullerton because you flip it over towards the other side, Mark. Fullerton, we were talking about it earlier, this is a team that needs to be able to find themselves ways to get on the board first and control matches. You're not going to control a match if you go down in the second minute.
Well, the thing that's interesting for me already is Greg, in his successful years, had a very tight triangle defense when somebody got their foot on the ball. Right now, Ryan, I'm not seeing that sort of setup on the field. Not blaming Greg. I'm just wondering if his players haven't adapted to it yet.
Well, it's weird. Normally at this part of the season, we're waiting for Fullerton to find the back of the net or have their way to find the back of the net. But in the opening minutes, Fullerton had a good run on it. And if you look at their setup, they were pushing almost everybody forward. I think they had one defender left at the midfield line, and Cuyamaca just ran downfield, and it looked like they almost beat them in a foot race, and then I think they picked up the trash and got the goal in, if I'm not mistaken, is what it looked like to me.
But, Joe, I'm going to throw this back at you. You talked about last year's team with the defense and everything. Last year, you could leave one person back.
Last year, you had an Evan Yule.
This year, you don't have that Evan Yule who may play as, Ryan, they might say, call him a sweeper. They're the last sense of defense.
You also had, like Ryan pointed out in the pregame, you had Max Ron who could motor up and down the field.
So, you know, we'll see what happens. Here, again, we asked if it was the goalie or the defense, I'm going to basically say, let's put it on the defense, not the goalie alone.
So you're a fence sitter.
No, I'm blaming it on the defense, not the goalie alone. We've talked about maybe the goalie has had hiccups this year.
Slow start, yeah.
Yeah. And now watching that first time around, Mr. Osborne, Mr. Pavlenko, I'm saying it's strictly on the defense.
Yeah, on that one especially, because that was just a couple of missed assignments, right? Ball goes over towards the right side of the box. Little miscommunication here as Fullerton gets it back to the goalkeeper in Alexis Villanueva. But it's a missed assignment on this right-hand side that allows for Marco Santillan to be able to come in almost all alone. He gets to the S in Hornets towards that end zone, if you're watching it and looking at the football markers, and just floats one over towards the R. Little 15-footer, doesn't really look all that dangerous, and it's floating up there, but the difference is, Mark, is that you have 3 different guys on the back line who at the same time were watching the ball. You've got to find that guy to mark, and this is a team in the back line for Fullerton leads them to success. Very veteran back line. They can be extremely good. Just in this case, it's just a missed assignment that leads to a goal.
And, I mean, that's something that, like I said earlier, in years prior, we're not used to seeing them have a, let's say, a slow start when it comes to playing on their third of the field. We're used to them having to find the gas pedal, the accelerator, whatever you call it, on their opponent's third of the field. Who has the foot this year? Who's going to be our guy that finds the back of the net? Who's our feeder? And all of that developed last year. And so if this squad can learn, and if Greg can do what Greg does best as a coach here with this program and mentor these young men and teach them the system that the Hornets play, I think the defense falls in line. But does it fall in line quick enough in this season?
Well, I think what I loved about Ryan's description, if you don't mark a player and you allow people to float free on the field, you're going to give up 4 goals a game. That's all there is to it, and I love what Ryan said. They just stood there. Nobody marked a man, and you've got to do that defensively.
But I'll flip it to the other side. It's really difficult to find the rhythm of a game in the early going if you're trying to figure out where your assignments are. Here's Fullerton with a shot that gets parried away. The rebound is there for a moment, as getting that one on was Jacob Leggetti. He gets his first shot of the match, and Fullerton, that's their first dangerous opportunity there, as Fullerton College is back on the attack. So for Fullerton, that is their second shot of this matchup. Cuyamaca, the official scoring on that last one in the 2nd minute. It was Esteban Salais joined by Marco Santillan on the pass. So it goes as Salais from Santillan as the final scoring in the 2nd minute. Here's a shot by Fullerton, and it's in. Redirection directly in front, and it looks like it's Josias Palacios. That is going to be an assist to David Suarez on the left-hand side, and Fullerton College ties it right back up as we're talking about what Fullerton can do on the attack.
Well, what's interesting, guys, we all talked about Palacios. We talked about how he was one of the leading scorers in the OEC, Joe, early in the season. Was he going to be going? And I've already declared my score in this game, 4-3. It's starting out like I might be right.
Well, and then 2 years ago, early-ish into the season, we knew Fullerton had a gunner in the way of Misael Gonzalez. And so then the thing was, halfway through season or conference play, everybody knew, let's double and triple team Misael. So if Palacios is starting to stand out this early in the season, how quickly till everybody in the OEC knows we need to shut him down? What made Fullerton a little different last year, a little bit more dynamic, was they had Hayden Kenny, who was dangerous, and he could feed the ball. And they had Max Ron, who could come up from a defender position of all places and score and find the back of the net. They had what some would call the best variety on the field.
No, you're absolutely right there, Joe. As you take a look at Fullerton's very balanced scoring last year, 36 goals, and if I remember correctly, 36 goals from 14 different goal scorers. That's a lot of different guys. I mean, if you think about it in one sense, that's a starting 11 plus 3. That's a lot of scoring from different people along the pitch. But again, you lose 23 goals out of that 36. It's real difficult to be able to kind of recreate that. For Fullerton, like you mentioned with Palacios, he's getting a good start. His last 3 matches have been electric. In this one, he gets that redirection, but the previous one that they had against Santa Monica, Palacios gets 3 straight goals, almost a natural hat trick for Fullerton College, and it allowed for them to get a draw against Santa Monica. They needed that from Palacios, so he's on a 3-match goal-scoring streak as Fullerton College tries to get it back from Cuyamaca. Is he going to be a guy who that they can rely on to just say, hey, we need a goal, go out and get us one?
It'd be great, but again, we saw that with Misael, and normally, again, I'm going to flip the script. Maybe it doesn't sound like I'm being the optimist here. I'm going to be the optimist here, though. We're just waiting for the team to develop just on the other side of play, if that makes sense. The defense is solid. Fullerton would have 1-1, 0-0 games, ties, 1-0, either way. They had a solid back line, solid goalkeeping, solid defense, but couldn't really find the back of the net all too reliably sometimes. This squad seems like they can find the back of the net pretty easily. It's just a shame that you put in all that work and then you're letting 1, 2, 3s through every game.
And it goes back to what Mark was talking about. If you're going to give up that many goals, it is tough in Southern California to keep that up and keep that almost score at will type of mentality. Here's a run on this left-hand side, trying to catch up to it. There was Renteria. He gets that scooted away from him and off of him. Nice play there by Brandon Acevedo, the upperclassman, sophomore for Fullerton College. Very quickly, guys, before we keep going, the starting lineup for Fullerton as we get past the 9-minute mark here for Fullerton College. Alexis Villanueva is in net. He is a previous all-conference selection for Fullerton College. David Suarez joined by Andrew Areola, Fabian Perez, and Josias Palacios with Jacob Leggetti, who has a shot already. Cisco Torres, who you remember from last year, joined by Bryant Polemounter, and then Jack Overton and Brian Orozco round out the starting lineup for Fullerton. And quickly, before we move on, we want to remind everyone that the FC Team Store gives you an opportunity to show your Hornet pride. Visit the FC Team Store for official jersey, gear, and fan merchandise. Whether you're cheering from the stands or representing on campus, we got everything you need to support your Hornets. Stop by and gear up today.
You know, and I'm going to take exception with Joe when he talked about Misael and that one person that could score, because we know with that team, we heard how great they were. We heard how wonderful they were. And yet when it was playoff time, because you had one, you know what? It was one and done. You need to have multiple people that can go to the goal and score. Not just one. So Palacios got to have brothers out there, baby. Not just one brother. He's got to have 9 brothers playing with him on this field.
All right, Hulkster, isn't that what I said, brother?
No, you talked about one-man band.
No, I talked about
You
how
sounded
that,
like Three Dog Night.
No, I was saying we had him, but the unfortunateness with having that one player in Misael was halfway through the season, everybody knew to double or triple team him.
And in behind the play, Fullerton College is going to get a yellow card that is awarded to David Suarez, and it will produce a penalty kick coming up for Cuyamaca. So in the early going, we're getting a back and forth here, and closer we get to Mark just talking about a high-scoring affair. Fullerton on this backside, the ball goes inside the box. 3 different guys collide at the exact same time, and Cuyamaca is going to come away with a penalty shot. Now, the officials talked for a second. The near side official patrolling the sideline said it was offsides. However, the main official, the head official, looks at the sideline official and says the foul occurred before the ball goes offsides or the man goes offsides. That's where the penalty comes in. So Alexis Villanueva is going to have to go in there and try and stop something here for Fullerton College in the early going. And it seems like it will be Ali Maliki who will end up getting the opportunity from the spot. Ali Maliki does not have a penalty kick opportunity yet, and he will convert. So just that easy, Cuyamaca goes up 2-1, and Fullerton College trails it by 1. So back and forth affair we have in the early going, not just in this season, but also in this match alone, as we are close to that 2-2 marker that Ryan Osborne talked about. and we'll see how the rest of the way goes. And a penalty marker for Cuyamaca. That will officially go at 32:38 left in the first half. So if you're keeping your math, Mark, that is...
Oh, I wasn't even listening.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That is the 21st minute.
Actually I was, but what I wanted to say,
11th minute.
Yeah, Ryan.
Math.
Wait a minute.
Math.
Field goal is 42 yards. Ah, that's right. Ryan, what I wanted to say, you brought up the fact, and Joe, you brought up the fact, there has been a lot of yellow cards already on this Fullerton team.
Yeah, I feel like a theme almost every year we've been calling Fullerton College soccer has been that they are a very physical team, and especially when you're in your own deep in your own third of the field, you have to keep that defending clean. Because if they would have kept that defending especially clean, we'd be looking at a score line that was 2-1 instead of 3-1.
And that will end up being Santillan on this right-hand side. So Marco Santillan already within a goal and an assist on this one. A beautiful strike on this right side. He decides to go against the grain, work Alexis Villanueva's momentum against him. Villanueva is going towards the near post to be able to mark the guy, but Santillan goes across to the far side post, and that one goes in as well. So just 45 seconds after the last goal is scored via penalty marker, right back on the board goes Cuyamaca.
Joe, but you watch how far somebody dribbles the ball down. That basically would be like a running back carrying a football. And nobody picks him up. Nobody forces him to the outside. Then they let him walk in towards the goal. And when you back off and it's you against the goalie and the far corner is open, you're going to take the shot. You, Ryan, myself, or Corey might have gotten close. Well, you, Ryan, and Corey might have gotten close. One of us up here would have scored a goal.
Wait, are we saying the one with the bad hip would have scored the goal?
Hey, I can still run.
But you're right. Why? I mean,
why? I don't get it.
Letting them run down the field like that, it's like leaving your door unlocked and saying, come into my house and make a sandwich.
Yeah. Hopefully it's tuna.
3-1 is our score. Cuyamaca opening up a 2-goal lead in the early going. And again, if you are a Fullerton College fan, not the start that you wanted to see from these Hornets. However, as we mentioned before, this is a team that has already come from behind against Santa Monica. They trailed as well. Ended up getting a hat trick from Josias Palacios to be able to come away with a 4-4 draw. They are not strangers at all to high-scoring affairs, and they turn it over here. Santillan tries to pop this one over towards the left-hand side. It gets taken away by Alexis Villanueva. So Villanueva has had to work for quite a bit in the early frames here, and Fullerton is going to take it out and away. Left-hand side, Fabian Perez. Perez scoots it towards the left for Overton. Overton can't get it to it in time, as Francisco Martinez will take it over, and he'll roll it over towards his left. So Cuyamaca going from left to right, as we mentioned earlier, trying to get a run on this left-hand side, nearly gets a breakaway pass. It's an offside if Cuyamaca catches up to it. So far they cannot, but the official says, hey, it doesn't matter. Flag is up. We're going to stop it here.
I've got to ask both of you, though. How do you stay on the offensive attack when you have leaked so much oil already in this first half? Are you afraid to attack now because you've got to keep defenders back? You can't bring defenders up because you know you're getting beat when it's one-on-one out there.
You can't be afraid to make those drives at the goal at this point because, I mean, honestly, you have to put goals on the scoreboard. You need to – you're 2 away from an equalizer, and that's a tie. That's a hill to climb up. Cuyamaca has some breathing room. We're early in the match, but, I mean, if they can keep this up, they could be in park the bus territory. And I don't know if that's something Fullerton with their defensive line this year. It might be early in the year to say, but if they have a lead, I don't know if Fullerton, if this squad currently, as they stand, could park the bus, Ryan.
And I think if you're looking at Fullerton, especially with the back line, you have to be able to look at this back line and say, okay, this is a very veteran back line. They know how Fullerton's style is going to be best carried out. So the question is, how do you get yourself back into this one, and how do you allow for your midfield to get the ball away from your half? Because the back line has been backpedaling quite a bit, but a lot of that has been because Fullerton hasn't controlled the midfield. As you're watching online, so far you have 13 straight passes by Cuyamaca that haven't been intercepted. Yes, they haven't been the cleanest of passes, but if you're Fullerton, you have to control your midfield and out. So that way anyone who's going across your midfield, your back line isn't being worn down continually. As we get towards the 18th minute here, and Fullerton College currently trailing it by a score of 3-1.
Are both of you surprised that Greg has not come yet with substitutions in this first half?
No.
Okay.
No, not yet. Especially since it's very early. I mean, part of it is you're trying to find that feeling out process. Can you successfully figure out what the other side is doing, what is leading to their success, and you have to be able to see who on the pitch is going to give you a better shot or is not necessarily a detriment, but isn't suited for today's style. You haven't been able to figure that out yet because you're under 18 minutes gone in the first half of play. Also want to remind everyone that there was a yellow card that was given out. That was in the 11th minute, and it was given to David Suarez of Fullerton College. So if you are keeping track online so far, Fullerton College with a yellow card to make it 15 yellow cards and 15 bookings so far in the early going this season.
Someone needs to let these guys know yellow cards aren't Pokemon cards. You don't have to collect them all.
Well, if you can find Pokemon cards, they can find yellows. Here in the 18th minute, Fullerton College and Cuyamaca, this one scooted over towards the left, and a goal kick will allow us to let you know about the FC journalism program here on campus. Ready to tell those stories that matter? Well, Fullerton College's journalism program offers hands-on training in print, digital, and broadcast media. Learn from working professionals using industry-standard equipment. You can also get certified in journalism, PR, or advertising, and graduate job ready. Your media career starts right here at Fullerton College.
One thing we do have to say, Cuyamaca so far, no corner kicks yet in this game. Fullerton's got a couple that usually gives you an advantage. Yet we have watched, and I'm going to say foot speed right now, Joe. Foot speed equal out there, or is Cuyamaca, the Coyotes, just a little quicker? Does it feel like that when you're watching this?
They're beating the Hornets back down the field, so it feels that way. I'm also looking at where the back line is pulling their defending, and I don't know if it's a fact, or not pulling their defending, but where they're standing on the field. And on the last few runs, it almost feels like they're afraid to try to set an offside trap because they know they might get beaten off the run on the ball. And it seems like they're playing a little bit closer to the last defender than they could be, trying to establish what could be like an offside trap.
And Ryan, when I talked about the field, if you watch the Cuyamaca and you watch the Fullerton goalie, if you're the Fullerton goalie, you got sunshine blinding you out there. If you're the Cuyamaca goalie, you're in the shadows. A really big advantage so far in this game.
Well, and as the sun sets, he's going to keep that advantage.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing there, Joe, is the fact that when they switch and flip over towards the other half of the field, Fullerton College won't be able to reverse that, as there's an offsider that ends up going off of Leggetti, or I should say an off-footer from Leggetti, and he sends that one just wide. So Leggetti with a couple of excellent opportunities. That one goes wide. The previous one earned them a corner, and Fullerton looking at 23 minutes off the clock, still trying to get themselves back in this one, trailing it by 2. Now you look at Jacob Leggetti just a few moments ago. Guys, this is a guy who scored the game winner against Lake Tahoe in the 59th minute, but also it's a testament, or he is a testament to how good this program is here at Fullerton College, especially with Greg Aviles and Kenny Castellanos and how well they are able to recruit here in Southern California. You look at a guy like Leggetti, he was an offensive MVP for his squad at North High School in Torrance, and he was also a Pioneer League selection as well, as Villanueva has to take that ball over and he'll swing it over towards the left. But he, if you're talking about Leggetti, found himself going through the Galaxy Devel program, 3-time All-League selection, 2022, 2023 scholar athlete as well. This is a guy that was coveted by a lot of programs, but comes here to Fullerton College because it is the best opportunity for him to play not only athletically, but continue in his education, which is something you love to harp upon, Mark.
Yeah, I really do. When you watched right then with Cuyamaca, when they looked like they were outnumbered, and I need to bring this up, They go back right now, guys, to fundamentals. Joe, I'm outnumbered. What do I do with the ball? I take it up and out to slow the play.
Yeah, and it's one of the things. I was watching Fullerton turn the attack from Cuyamaca almost on a dime and run back downfield, and it was a foot race downfield versus what you can see sometimes, especially when maybe the game isn't being played at a rhythm that your team is comfortable with. Sometimes you'll have a little game of kickball at the half field mark and just try to slow the game down, stretch the field out, pull someone out of position. But it looks like they're content to just try to have foot races up and down the field.
Yeah, for the moment being, they're still trying to figure out that back line there for Cuyamaca. And if you're Fullerton College, you still got some time on the clock, 20 minutes left here in the first half of play. And for Fullerton, of course, scoring the only goal that they have to this point, Villanueva having to take it over. Nice deke to get away from one. He gets away from Emiliano Yanez. This one's lined over and taken away by Cuyamaca. But if you're Fullerton College, you get your only goal of this match by a nice setup that goes from wing to center and ends up with a deflection as Palacios takes it over. Little jersey tug to keep him back. And now across the way goes Fabian Perez. Perez decides to swing it back over towards the right. It will go to Areola, an all-conference selection, nearly an all-state selection for Fullerton College last year, and an excellent freshman campaign.
I think the fun part about watching Cuyamaca is when Fullerton takes the ball back to their own goal, realize the only way you can pick it up if you're a goalie is by a header. You cannot pick it up if it is kicked back to you. Cuyamaca is jumping on that, guys, when it rolls back, trying to find everybody flat-footed and that free run at the goalie.
Oh, they're jumping at almost everything, Mark. They are playing very high pressure.
Here's Yanez. Yanez, little liner right down the middle of the frame, gets away from two, and it will go right back to the Coyotes. Pick it up, fired on net. That's going to be there. Little kick in, but well offsides is Yanez. And Yanez said, you know what? I really don't care. I'm just going to toss this one in. So Fullerton College will pick it up and kick it away.
He's just standing by the goalie. Okay, hey.
I think he knew exactly where he was, and that ball went right to him, and he just dumped it right in on frame.
And if we were all playing each other out there, we'd be arguing, that's a goal.
27 minutes gone here in the first half of play between Fullerton College and Cuyamaca. You're on Hornet Radio. Ryan Osborne joined by Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich, and Becky Nguyen on the controls, bringing you live action from the weekday kickoff here at Fullerton College.
Still not in love with the name.
No alliteration here, just pure Fullerton College soccer as it is picked up and taken away on the right-hand side by Fullerton. Leggetti trying to find someone. He finds Areola. Areola trying to switch it over towards his left foot and is dispossessed as the bench is very active there for Cuyamaca, and they are making sure that they communicate with that back line. As Arax is able to find someone, he scoots it over towards his left, and it goes to the awaiting foot of Jason Flores.
And I'm gonna actually agree with Joe on the fact that, Joe, you already brought it up in this game. The defenders are not crashing over midfield that often. And they're behind the play on this one when it went across on midfield, almost like they're afraid to have somebody get on or break against them and that they don't match up foot speed-wise.
Yeah, it feels like they're afraid to give it space. Also, the next time Fullerton has possession, just one thing I'm noticing, Cuyamaca, very high pressure. Last couple times Fullerton had the ball as they were trying to do their own form of playing a little kickball around the field. Every time somebody got reception of a pass, it felt like they were immediately double-teamed. And they have no time to think about, settle, where am I going, how am I lengthening the field, where am I trying to pull somebody. You can't have those thoughts if immediately you're going, there's two guys in front of me.
One thing that's nice, again, with the referees allowing physical soccer to play, guys, this is a fast-moving first half.
Yeah, we haven't had too many stoppages with the exception of the goals that have been scored to this point. With under 16 and a half minutes left to play, real quick, we want to remind everyone that if you want to stay informed, you can do so with The Hornet, your campus newspaper. From breaking news to in-depth investigations, our student journalists bring you the stories that matter most to the Fullerton College community. Read it online today, The Hornet, where student voices make headlines. Back onto the pitch here for Fullerton College at Hal Scherbeck Field. Ligeti is going to scoot it over to Ariola on that right-hand side. Fullerton is trying to find Overton. They can't do so successfully, and it is taken away by Cuyamaca. A first half that so far has been dominated by Cuyamaca. This will be offsides. Villanueva is going to pick it up, but it will not matter. And if you are Fullerton College, you're looking at adjustments. What can you do to prevent that onslaught that you saw earlier? And really, Joe, Mark, if you were watching it from a hockey perspective, you say everything changed in one shift. That's basically the amount of time that you saw in this one. They had a goal in the early going in the 2nd minute, but in the 11th minute is where everything changed. You get a penalty kick, and then right back to it goes Cuyamaca, and they're able to score within 45 seconds of getting the second marker.
Well, and what Fullerton did not do is once Fullerton got their first goal and it felt like it was going to be that very close duel, Cuyamaca took over this first half and said, it belongs to us, like Ryan just said. And Ryan, Fullerton hasn't yet to answer. There's been real no shot on goal or difficult shot on goal to test the Cuyamaca goalie.
No, I think you're absolutely correct. The only one that has been difficult on frame was the one that was deflected in by Josias Palacios. But even then, that wasn't a difficult shot on goal. It was just the fact that it was redirected successfully there by Palacios. So it continues with what you were talking about, Mark. They are trying to figure out a way that they can get a dangerous shot on. They haven't found that yet. This is an in-swinger that goes down the middle of the frame, and it just ends up going wide. That would have been an own goal against Cuyamaca's back line. And it looked like it was Arax who was going back for it, gets his left ankle on it, and pops it away. It's a corner kick coming up to Fullerton College. It will be their 3rd of this match. A few moments ago, Ryan Manabe came in, and he ended up replacing Brian Orozco. And it looks like Fullerton's also going to bring in Greg Glowacki as well.
Well, if you can't score, you might as well get help from the other team. I mean, what the heck, right? Let's keep it close. Score for us, will you? We're having problems.
Well, see, I'm going to say second goal was kind of Fullerton being their own worst enemies. They got too physical, too deep into their own side of the field, resulted in a penalty, and I think that was momentum swinging in Cuyamaca's favor. Then they answer with that goal and just keep the pendulum swinging in their favor.
Couple substitutions, like we mentioned just a few moments ago. Entering the park for Fullerton is Glowacki. He's going to replace Fabian Perez. And then 2 different guys on the far side for Cuyamaca are going to take a seat, one of them being Al Maliki, who had the second goal of the match for Cuyamaca. He will also be joined by Josue Reyes Cortez. And a trio of Coyotes come in for them. And we'll get to them in just a few moments once we actually get the names here. One of them is going to be Marcos Santillan as he re-enters. Santillan, Renteria, both back onto the park. Fought for just a moment. Fullerton can't control, taken away by Cuyamaca once more. They're going to reverse frame, move it over to Diego Mendez, retaken over by Fullerton. Here's Overton. Overton looking, takes a shot that gets parried away nicely by Francisco Martinez. Martinez had to be alive on that one, and credit Jack Overton for being able to contort his body mid-jump and get that one on goal.
And you watched Martinez react and start talking to his partners in front of him like, what are you doing? You've got to push them out and realize you can do that. You can push a player out of the way, not physically with your hands. You step in front of them. You use a little body on them. That's how you play defense in soccer. You can be physical, Joseph. You know that. You've watched enough of it. And if you're not, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Here's Ariola. High throw-in. Kind of clings around for a second, and it will be cleared by Cuyamaca. Brought down by Glowacki. And he's going to find someone near side in Cisco Torres. Torres, high floater, one bounce. It finds its way over towards Ariola, but it goes off his chest and down. Fullerton brings in 2 substitutions, Jared Rodriguez being one of them, and Jacob Cortez being the other. So we'll see who ends up taking a seat, and it looks like it will be Paul Mounter. And who will he be joined by is the question. It's Palacios. So a change in the attack for Fullerton College. And Mark, you see the switch here by Fullerton. It's not necessarily just a substitution. It's an entire change in the way they are going to attack with this second unit. You bring in a couple more guys who are a lot faster, a lot better with the touches, but it's more midfield oriented. Palacios is a bigger guy at 6'3". He's kind of a possession dominant type of player. And in this case, Fullerton College says, hey, we need a little bit more help in the midfield, so that's what they're going to go substitution-wise.
Well, at this stage of the game, you cannot allow the Coyotes from Cuyamaca to constantly control the flow of the game as they just sort of play a little ticky-tack. Just 2-footers, 3-footers, touch and go. You've got to take it away from them and stop them at the attack before they get over half the way down to your defensive end.
Here's Fullerton on the takeaway. Here's Ligeti. Ligeti has to scoot it away fast. He finds Overton. Overton, little turnover here. Fullerton trying to get it back. Can't do so successfully. Goes to Franco. Franco on the scoot. It'll go to Jason Flores. Flores with it once more. Nice job by Ligeti. Gets past two. He's got a wide open look. If he decides to find a lane, he scoots it off to the right-hand side. Manade can't get to it in time. And it is Cuyamaca who takes over. So an odd man rush opportunity for Fullerton doesn't end up going the way that they needed to. Ariola's in a foot race. He's got to scoot it back to Villanueva. Villanueva, he'll take it over. Mark, you heard from Greg Aviles. He said that this is almost the perfect opportunity for a backup keeper in Villanueva because his style and the way that he has experience with this Fullerton program kind of suits this team perfectly.
Yeah, and so far, again, I don't really blame the goalkeeper for all of the 3 goals. I think the defense has been porous, to say the least, and has not smothered anybody at midfield line. I mean, it's basically wandering down there with your lunch pail sitting where you want to.
Ball gets scooted back. Under 10 minutes to go, so 35 gone here at Fullerton College. Here on Hornet Radio, bringing you live action from Hal Schurebeck Field. And speaking of Hornet Radio, we want to remind everyone to tune in to Hornet Radio, your campus soundtrack. We are streaming live with the best mix of music, talk, and local programming. Whether you're studying, commuting, or just hanging out, Hornet Radio keeps you connected to campus life, and you can listen online now. As the substitution comes in just a couple of moments, it looks like that will be Oscar Feria. In addition to a couple of guys coming off for Fullerton, one of them namely being Brandon Acevedo. This is a big change here for Fullerton because Acevedo has had a lot of success for this program in the first 5 matches of play for Fullerton College.
Well, you've got to find something. I mean, you've got to be able to say, all right, we didn't play well that first half, but we sparked just before halftime. We looked good. We put some shots on goal. He made some great saves. We were the attacking team. So far in this game, you don't have that. As you watch every free ball out there, Ryan, the Coyotes get it first. It's like a dog chasing a bone, and they're the first dog to it.
And that was a difficult one, too, because for Fullerton, they had a guy running on this left-hand side with Glowacki, but Overton thought that that ball was towards him, so he intercepts the pass, but you have the guy on the easy run on the left-hand side. It's not necessarily a mistake, but just 2 guys who didn't know that they had the other opportunity behind them.
And again, we get a foul called on a little bump, Joe. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it's another thing where skills in this game equate to, some things in football. Almost every player on the field here needs to have heads-up awareness. It's almost like a quarterback reading a field, right? You have to have your 1 look, your 2 look, your 3 look, do your scans, and then offload the ball.
Yeah, I agree. It's like in a radio broadcast. Everybody needs to know their material and then give everybody an opportunity to say something.
Speaking of a radio broadcast, as there's a foul inside the box, both teams are going to kind of get into a shoving match here in just a moment. Foul goes against Fullerton College. Overton's not thrilled about it. He's asking for a substitution. He got hit in the head, so he is asking for the training staff to come over and help him out. But very quickly, guys, we do want to remind everyone that if you have the opportunity to take a look at more of what Hornet Radio brings you. Live sports, live broadcasts, live streaming from the students at Fullerton College. Hornet Radio has continually kept a legacy from KBPK back in the days to now Hornet Radio continuing to produce a lot of quality broadcasts for the local community here in Fullerton, and then also not only just in the local community, but we have heard from multiple states and also internationally the impact that Hornet Radio has. And if you're looking to launch your broadcasting career with Fullerton College's radio program, you can get hands-on experience with professional equipment, learn on-air skills, audio production, and digital media from the industry experts who are in the field. From behind the mic to behind the scenes, they will prepare you for the radio industry. So enroll today.
You know, it's really upsetting. I gave him the greatest segue to go to Hornet Radio. What's he do? He starts talking about soccer. What's the deal?
Listen.
I laid it there for you. You scored.
I was going that way because the moment you said Hornet Radio, I gave you the heads up. Hey, I'm going to follow up on that. And then I look over to my left, and they're getting into a fight. Okay, I can't just ignore that while the camera's on it.
Come on, guys. I mean, you know, work with us down there in the field. Let's go. Next time, you know what, Becky, stick an air horn out and blow it and see if everybody will just stop dead.
4:45 left to go here in the first half of play between Fullerton College and Cuyamaca. And we are currently at a 3-1 lead for the Cuyamaca Coyotes, who have controlled the way that this match has gone in the early 45 of play. This is a little off-footer that goes off the awaiting head of a Rocks. A Rocks with a sliding tackle. That it gets all ball. Fullerton College is going to advocate for a foul. They will not get it, and rightfully so, as this one goes over towards Ryan Manabe. Manabe is dispossessed now by a Rocks, and a Rocks is going to left foot this one over towards the left. That's an easy offsides. Villanueva comes out to cut that off, and it will be popped back over towards Ariola. Now, Mark, Joe, you're starting to get the sense of urgency here from Fullerton as they're trying to push this ball up and forward.
Well, watch Diego Mendez, one of the defenders here on the near side of the field from the Coyotes. He gets to the ball quickly anytime the Hornets get on an attack. And that's what you have to do when you're watching him down there. He's here on the right wing all the way back on defense. Plus, he gets involved, which you like, Joe. The defenders get involved in the attack. And you've often said, if you're going to win, you've got to have them be involved.
Yeah. And it's a thing where, like Ryan said, there's some urgency on the field. We've got 3 minutes and change plus additional potential theoretical stoppage time. And Fullerton going into the half, I like to talk with momentum and the pace that the game's moving of, right? Momentum is swung in Cuyamaca's favor right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And going into the half, how do you swing momentum back into your favor when you're coming out at the half potentially down by 2? How do you change the pace of the game to a pace that you're comfortable playing at and you're not dancing to the beat of somebody else's song?
I don't think Fullerton's playing their game. Honestly, I really don't. And I brought up the fact that Greg, in the years I've watched this team play, no, I agree with you. Ryan, Greg used to run a trapping triangle defense. So as soon as somebody got their foot on the ball, there were 3 guys there. I don't see that on this field yet. And it's, to me, again, it's not Greg. Is it the players that just have not adapted yet to what they maybe should do? I'm not saying they should. Maybe should do?
No, I think it's more of a stylistic change. So if you talk to these head coaches, and actually this is something I asked them about last year, when you flipped over from 2 years ago with Misa over to last year, how do you take student athletes who were in a system the previous year, and how do you play to their strengths? And he said, or Greg Aviles mentioned this to me, he said, you don't end up forcing guys into a system at all times, because that's just not their strength. That's not going to be every single person's strength. So what you have to do at times is find what the talent has to offer you, and then not completely change your style, but find something that fits better. Find something that works with your program a little bit better. And in this case, I think it's more of a speed type of matchup for Fullerton College. That back line is very fast. Now, you're not going to see them get as offensively oriented as we saw last year. Last year, Max Ron, Ariola, Suarez, all 3 of those guys were pushing up the park as much as they humanly possibly could. but you're not going to see that as much as you did last year, but you're going to see them be a lot more speedy and a lot more physical.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe in this match, they're a little gun shy being down 3-1. They don't want to give the space.
Yeah, and it's very tough because it's two different sides of the sword, right? Because you don't want to give up the space because you don't want to go down further.
Talking my language.
But but then you flip it over towards the other side and you say, well, if we don't stop pushing up the park, or if we don't start pushing up the park, we're going to find ourselves still trailing 2-1. So how do you balance those two things? And I think that's where the adjustments are going to have to come in here in the half that's coming up in just a couple of moments. How can this coaching staff look at them and say, yes, we understand we don't want to play back as much as possible and go down even further from down 3-1. But you cannot play fully conservative, because if you do, you're going to go into the end of this match 3-1. Here's a set piece. Side swiped over towards the left, fired, and that one ends up going high and wide. Field goal is good, over the camera, thankfully, and it will be kicked away by Villanueva. This might be the last kick of the first half as the main official takes a look at his watch briefly. Villanueva skies this one into the air. Official looks at his watch one more time. He says he's going to let one more possession play out. Taken away by Fullerton College, kicked away by Feria. Feria looking for someone, trying to find a foot race on the far side. He cannot get there successfully as Paul Acosta was chasing after it. Now it goes back to a rocks. Little slider that goes over towards the middle of the park, down near the 40-yard line if you're watching online and looking at all the football, gridiron that is, markings on the field. Liner. Back over towards Acosta. Acosta into heavy traffic. Here's a volley that gets popped up into the air. A lot more time than I think he realized he had. I believe that was Cortez who was trying to catch up to it. And it will go over towards Glowacki. Fullerton still with an offensive chance before the half ends. Ligeti says, let's reset this out of North Torrance, or North High School in Torrance, I should say, as Ariella goes back for it. High bouncer. He gets chased. Heavy contact by Salais, and Salais is going to see this go back to Villanueva. Official once again looking at his watch, takes a look at the back formation, and Villanueva looks to kick it away. Popped up high there for the Hornets, taken away by the Coyotes. Little check that goes left-hand side, finally found its way all the way towards the right-hand side once more with Villanueva. Villanueva says, let's push this up, guys. We've got some time. 3-1, Cuyamaca with the lead. Fullerton College trailing it by 2. Back-to-back goals in the 11th minute by Al-Maliki and Santillan, leading to Fullerton College being down by that score. Popped up into the air. Hornets trying to catch up to it. Goes now to Ligeti. Ligeti has had a good match this afternoon with some open space and also getting the ball away from some. Al-Maliki with it once more. Leaving a backspun liner left-hand side. More of a floater, actually, I should say, as that one's going to nearly go out. It does indeed, and that ends the first 45 of play. So at the end of 45 of play, it's 3-1 the score. Fullerton College trailing it by 2, and it's not something that we have said very often throughout the last few years that we have been doing Football Fridays. But as we go into the half, we remind you that if you want to watch the Coaches Show, you can take a look at Hornet Radio's YouTube page. Don't miss the Coaches Show, your inside look at Hornet Athletics. Get exclusive interviews, some game analysis, and behind-the-scenes access you won't find anywhere else. Available as a podcast on all platforms, or catch it on YouTube. The Coaches Show, where sports insight meets entertainment. Mark, Joe, that first half, we have not said this very much in the last few years, but Fullerton trails after 45.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, those are just, those aren't words. That's not a phrase we're used to saying in this booth going into the half. We're used to, it's a tie. They need to find the back of the net. We're used to, they're down 1-0. They need to find a foot. Hopefully they'll find a foot. But that's kind of few and far between. It's the Hornets, especially last year, it seemed like they really wanted to put Mark's blood pressure at risk because they wanted to decide the games in the closing minutes and sometimes seconds of a match. But like I said, this feels like a rebuilding year, which is a weird thing to say when Greg has had the success that he's had. It feels like he's trying to find who to go to, and I think that's going back to your sword analogy, Ryan. It's that double-edged sword of what success brings. It brings you people like Max Ron, and then sometimes after a year, it'll take away people like Max Ron.
And Mark, I'll bring it over to you, just like what you were talking about there, Joe. That's one thing that's very interesting about this program is the fact that, is it a rebuild or is it a retool? Those are two very different things, Mark.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Ryan. I think it's a retool. I don't think it's a rebuild, because having such a successful program as Greg has had, and because of the academy they run, the programs they have during the summer, the competitiveness that we have out there amongst the OEC coaches to be able to go out and get soccer players that want to play at the community college level, I don't think any of the programs really rebuild. They retool. They refit. They look at somebody that can work for them. I think the thing right now, I can't remember what year it was, so I'm going to go back to the youthful guys to help me here. It took a while, and Greg even said it to both of you. It's taken a while, and so did Kenny, when we would say, well, it looks like this is happening or that's not happening. And they told both of you, the voices of Hornet Soccer, it's going to take a while for them to learn what to do. That's what I see on this field. I really take it back to, and Joe, I asked you earlier, they just haven't adapted to, I think, what they need to do. So it's not a rebuilding, because once they understand it, then I think they become that threat that you guys have called in the past when you've called Hornet Soccer.
Yeah, and it is also that thing of learning a system, adapting to a system, all of those things, right? But you're down 3-1, and it's that thing of believe in the system, but the system isn't working. Well, you need to trust the system. It's going to work, but the system isn't working. How do I trust in the system? And sometimes you have to have a little faith that it'll work out in the end. Trust that the coaches are your coaches for a reason, and they're wisdomous and full of knowledge that they're trying to impart onto you about the sport of soccer.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, Joe, when you say that where things aren't working, then you start saying, how do I fit in here? And we were upstairs with Greg before we started today, and we were talking about players that move on. And they run a program here at Fullerton where they care about the student athletes first. That's what matters. And Greg had a goalie on their team that was from the San Diego area and just knew he wasn't going to play here. And Greg started making phone calls. And he actually called Brian down with the Coyotes and said, hey, I've got this young kid that you should look at. He's from down in the area. And supposedly, Brian basically didn't call the young man back really quick. And the young man said, I don't think they want me. Greg called Brian again at Cuyamaca and said, he's trying to get a hold of you. He's now down here playing for Cuyamaca. And it's like you said, this is a program that looks for the betterment of the person, not the betterment. And is this a contradiction, not the betterment of the team? Is that a contradiction, or does that make sense?
I think it's the saying that you love to say, Mark. They're not just coaches, they're educators, and they're not just athletes, they're student athletes. And when you look at that whole picture, when you're trying to paint that whole picture, when you're trying to, as some would say, paint with all the colors of the wind, you have to look at all of the pieces as they come together. And at this level, Greg has told all of us, it's not just about making a superstar. It's about getting these kids degrees. He realizes, and he doesn't mean this in a bad way, and we don't mean this in a bad way when we say it, this is a stepping stone, and hopefully this propels them onto bigger and better things in their life.
And speaking of, we want to actually highlight a program who's doing the exact same thing across campus here, the water polo program. If you didn't get the opportunity to see the coaches show last week at halftime of the women's matchup, we're going to play some of that for you here. And when we come back, we'll have some of the halftime stats and more from Fullerton College and Cuyamaca right here on Hornet Radio.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's episode of The Coaches Show here on Hornet Radio. I'm Caleb Ramos, and as you can see, we're out by the Fullerton College pool just before women's water polo practice. Ryan Osborne is going to get the chance to talk to a couple of integral members of that water polo program about all the advantages of being such a young team. All that and more here on The Coaches Show.
So we're here with Coach Gabriel Martinez. And Coach, you look at your team, what is the biggest difference between coaching a more veteran team versus a younger team like you have?
A lot of it is understanding the language that we're using and the terminology that we're using, and getting the new athletes to come in and understand the system that we're trying to run, us trying to figure out what their strengths are, the areas that we need to improve on, and we need to figure it out quickly.
And the system that Coach Martinez mentioned has consistently worked out for the Hornets, especially over the last 12 years. 2 national titles and countless conference championships en route to establishing a legacy and a reputation at Fullerton College for attracting student athletes to a national contending program.
When you mention that, do you have many athletes who have already seen your coaching style beforehand now that they're here at Fullerton College?
I think every athlete that comes into Fullerton College understands what the expectations are and what we want as a program and how we want to compete. Yes.
How do you set up sophomores who were freshmen last year? You mentioned you have a smaller group of sophomores. How do you set them up for leadership to help these freshmen come along?
Well, I think that in the years past, we've had really good leaders, and as our freshmen, we tell them, like, you're going to be our leader next year. Pay attention to how she's doing it. Notice how she's communicating with her teammates. Notice how she's getting them involved. Notice how she's communicating with them out of the water when it comes to knowing where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, and where they're supposed to be at the time, being punctual, like having good habits.
You mentioned the out of the water moment. Mark Pavlovich, who's always with us, loves to mention the student part of student athlete.
Yes.
How do you stress that to these students who are just entering college and learning a system in the water as well?
I think that, like, as we mentioned before with the sophomores, and telling them how important academics are, and you could be the best water polo in the world if you're not in the classroom. Our goal is to transfer you out to a 4-year and continue to play, and if you don't have that academically, then we're not going to be able to do that. And we always tell them here at Fullerton, be here as long as you need to be here. If it's 1 semester and you transfer out to 1 semester, fine. If it's a year, if it's a year and a half, we've never had anybody here more than 2 years academically. They've always transferred out, typically after a year and a half. We've had a few after a year. We had the exception of 1 semester and transferring out and playing out a 4-year.
The Hornets transferred a lot of student athletes to the next level and got 3 All-OEC selections with Elise Wesky, Monse Maldonado, and Michaeli Franco. They were also joined by honorable mentions in Brisella Robinson and Isabella Castaneda. Castaneda is now currently second on the team in scoring, helping lead the Hornet attack.
Well, I mean, you mentioned those success stories, especially coming out of your program. I believe it was Riley Jackson a few years ago who comes from here, goes to UCLA, gets playing time at UCLA. What is it like as a head coach to be able to see someone like that, college freshman, just barely learning how to be a college person or a college student, and then all of a sudden they're at a big-time 4-year school because of the academics and what they're doing in the pool?
Well, I think that is what we want as a program. We want our program to matriculate athletes to 4 years and contribute and represent what we've done here, and whether it's Riley, whether it's Michaeli, whether it's Monse's playing at APU. We're excited for her, and that's something that we've done at about 90% tally.
You mentioned that 90%. That's some of the best rates in all of community college, not just in California, but across the nation as well, well above the national average. Is that kind of that sense of pride that you like to pitch to athletes when they're looking at Fullerton College as a place that they can go?
Yeah, an athlete that comes here is quite aware that we are our goal is to transfer them and play out of 4 year, regardless of the kind of experience they're coming in with. We've had some athletes come in with a lot of experience, be really good players, and we've had some athletes come in that don't have that kind of experience, but they know that they have that opportunity if they take advantage of it.
And when Coach Martinez mentions those success stories, he's very proud of the fact that he has that big-time transfer success rate. Yes, the 730 win percentage is nice, and yes, those national championships are nice, but what he truly hangs his hat on and what he believes this program is built on is how well they're able to transfer students to the next level. You have student athletes going from Fullerton College to the NAIA Division 1, 2, and 3 levels just based off of their experience in the pool at Fullerton College.
When you look at this upcoming season, of course, you're just brand new into the 2025 season. Who are a couple of people that you're looking to lean on the rest of the way?
Well, we always try to defend the middle of the pool really, really well. We have 3 good goalies that are going to contribute. And we have 2 center defenders that do a fantastic job. Our center play on the offensive end, we losing Kayla and Akeli are big losses. We're trying to figure out how we're going to attack the defense, whether it's attacking them from the outside or whether it's attacking them down the middle. That's something we're trying to work on still and figuring out our strengths.
The Hornets are 2-2 to this point, as they have gone through 4 games and they got a season opening win over Cabrillo 20-8, and then they lost back-to-back games to Cuesta and American River 14-11 and 14-5. They get back into the win column against Mount Sac 14-7, which was big for this young Hornet squad because both those 2 teams have been battling it out in Southern California for the last few years. Now, leading the way scoring-wise is McKenna Dunning with 18 goals as a freshman in this lineup. Right behind her is Isabella Castaneda, who we mentioned earlier was an OEC honorable mention. She has 11. Fullerton College, if they want to continue to get away from that slow start that they've had the last couple of years, they're going to have a chance with back-to-back games in the same day against Ventura and Santa Barbara. That will be crucial in really establishing where Fullerton College is going to be going into the middle part of this season and entering conference play as well.
You mentioned those strengths. What I have personally seen in years past is you love to make sure that your athletes are very well conditioned in the pool, some of the best in the state. You like to get up and down the pool as quickly as possible because you can outswim other teams. Is that something that you're able to do with this young freshman lineup?
Yeah, I think we do have girls on the outside that can create early offense and us advancing the ball under control as quickly as we can and attacking the defense before they can get organized. That's something that we're always going to do. And we have a few, I think we have like 8 girls that could do something like that. 8 athletes that can post up and get early offense. I like our team this year a lot.
You mentioned that. Does that not only make you excited for the back half of this season? And we welcome you back to House Scherbeck Field on the campus of Fullerton College. Ryan Osborne, joined by Mark Pavlovich. And Joseph, I'll let you introduce yourself here for a moment, but as you are a part of the 145 class. But as you look at the first half of play, Mark, I'll swing it over to you first. Fullerton College, you talked about what they need to do here in the second half. But if you're also looking at it from a full view of adjustments, because you talked about who needs to get going, but in terms of tactical adjustments, what does Fullerton have to do to get going?
Well, they need to bring up the back line on an attacking aspect. The back line needs to get over midfield. That's one thing to put more pressure on Cuyamaca. The other thing the back line needs to do is on a defensive side, they need to protect their goalie. You've got a goalie coming out 30 yards for free balls and then trying to clear it up to whomever is there in a dark jersey. So I'm going to put all the blame on this game on one group, the 3 in the back. They need to be aggressive on the offense, and they need to retreat quickly to help out their goalie. If not, I didn't call enough goals in this game.
Joseph Abdel, I'll bring it over towards you. You look at Cuyamaca. Mark talked about Fullerton, what they need to do, where they need to go. What was going right for Cuyamaca in that first half?
Definitely, yeah. I think Marco Santillan is definitely a player to highlight. He's been involved in all 3 goals. He's had an assist, he's had a goal for himself, and he drew the penalty kick, which got them that 3rd goal. I think getting the ball to him will be very pivotal. I think Fullerton will look to shut him down, but I think pushing that number up. He's been going up and down, playing as a right wing back, I think, has been great for them. I think keeping that lead, it's a 3-1 lead. They say 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in soccer. Fullerton has the opportunity here to come out, get that first goal, and it's a brand new game. But if Cuyamaca can score a goal, put the game away, that is their key objective for the second half.
I bring it back over to Mark.
I got to ask Joseph, would you change goalies right now?
As an ex-goalkeeper, definitely, I think coming out mentally, it's not going to be, you never want to come out of a game as a goalkeeper. I don't think he's let in 3 goals. It's been tough. I think it's going to be tough. It's a tough
Change
decision,
him?
but I think we stick with it for now.
So as we come back here, thank you, Joseph. We want to thank the 145 sports class for joining us here on the air throughout the entirety of the night. They have been the key for this broadcast. If you are watching tonight, we want to thank the CRTV 145 class here for Fullerton College, as they have been helping us get you live action from House Scherbeck Field, which as we come out of the half very quickly, we do want to remind you that if you're looking for something to take a look at, read, and get in-depth knowledge from, Inside Fullerton is where you can get the inside scoop of or from their magazine. From campus updates to student spotlights, we cover the stories that make FC special. Pick up your print copy around campus or read the latest issue online. Inside Fullerton, your window into campus life. Back into the action here, Fullerton College and Cuyamaca. It is a 3-1 lead for Cuyamaca. And Mark, Fullerton College watched everything change in the 11th minute.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, that's the thing that you looked at. Fullerton really needs to come up big right now and be able to make the play that's going on. And I know Joseph, the young man from the 145 class, was just with us right now, Joe. He basically looked at it. He sort of put it on Palacio. I put it on the back line. I knew you stepped out for a second. I think everything is on their feet. You talked about it. They need to push up offensively. I think they need to bail out their goalie and get back. I don't think the back line has played well tonight for the Hornet team.
Well, we had a nice little sidebar while hopefully you guys at home enjoyed last week's coaches show. And we were talking about, Mark was talking about the goalie needed help. I was talking about how the defense was maybe a little gun shy on the back line. They were playing really close to the forwards. And Ryan was going, the midfield needs to kind of step up. They need to be more present in it, according to what Ryan was saying, kind of a little of every aspect of this game. Because if they don't, if they want to play one-dimensional soccer and they just want to be on the scoring drives and they don't drop back to help with the defensive side, you're leaving your keeper and you're leaving your back line in a not great situation.
Well, I come from a background in soccer that defense wins everything for your game. As Cuyamaca makes a shot, it's in! Cuyamaca, there's goal number 4 on the field. And Ryan Osborne, they just said, Mr. Pavlovich, you wanted 4 goals? They did it right there against the Hornets. And again, it was a break. It was a break. Joe, the defense got it. They got it up the field. The attack happened, and there was nobody there back for the Hornets to stop it.
So at this point, let's have a discussion, Mark. Are we saying they can't win the foot race? Or are we saying the midfield's kind of letting them down and the defense isn't maybe heads up again, or they're guarding too close?
I'm just going to basically say the defense is letting them down. I really do. And unfortunately, you know, when your goalie's out there and they're getting undressed, somebody's got to help them.
Yeah, and it's a tough one here, especially for Villanueva. We talked to Coach Greg Aviles, and as he said, Villanueva was an all-conference selection. He was one of the better goalkeepers in all of Southern California while he played here with Fullerton, in 2016. Now he comes back here to Fullerton with the knowledge that he is there in a mentoring role for not only Steven Martinez, but the rest of this group here at Fullerton College. That is his role, is to be able to go in there when he is needed, but also provide a lot of leadership mentally for this program. Now, The thing is, with this second half, Villanueva isn't actually the goalkeeper in this one. They switched out their goalkeeper for the second 45 of play. That's Steven Martinez, who's back in there, and it's been a tough go for him, especially considering that Steven Martinez last year, guys, was one of the best keepers in California. That's what Greg Avila said, and that's also what other programs across the state said. Steven Martinez was excellent in all-conference selection, nearly an all-state selection for Fullerton College. But now you look at the early going for him, and just plain and simple for Fullerton in general, trying to keep balls out of the net, it's been tough.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's really, again, Joe, I'm going to throw it at you, man. Is this what – no, I'm going to throw it at you because you love soccer like Ryan does. Is this where you start selling out? You're down by 3. I know you've got a whole second half, but do you just play a little bolder on the offensive side?
You have to. Again, it's the same story as when you're down by 2. To win the game, you need to score points, right? It's a pretty simple math equation, right?
Yeah.
Score more points than other team, win game. It's a fairly simple math equation. It's just how do you get yourself to do that? And I think, again, we talked at halftime. I think Cuyamaca's got them beat at the foot race.
Yeah, we all agreed on that. Foot speed might be with the Coyotes.
And
This weekday.
all right,
And I really do think that Fullerton needs to be extremely aggressive. You're down 4-1. Joe says, hey, it's as simple as math. You got to score 3. You've got to go after people, and you've got to man up, and you can't let people run free. And this is what's happened to this Hornet team in this entire match.
again, back to our halftime conversation. You know who has been aggressive on Fullerton's side of the field?
Ryan and you?
Their goalie.
Well.
How many times has he stepped out of his box to cut off attacks and make plays?
Yeah, he's trying to cut off the angles. And, I mean, that's what you've got to do. You shorten the field against somebody shooting, and you make them pull the trigger faster. But he's alone. He's on an island, and I don't care who you have in the goal mouth. He's on an island. And the defenders really do. I watched them at midfield just before this last attack. They're all just standing there. If you're not moving your feet, you're going to get beaten by the time somebody catches up to you. You got to be moving.
Here's a chance for the Coyotes. Martinez is there, and he's able to make the save. So that's his first save of this match. 4-1, Cuyamaca with the lead. In the last 8 years or so that Fullerton and Cuyamaca have played each other, this is tied for the biggest deficit between either of these two sides, as Fullerton had a 4-1 victory a couple years back here at Fullerton. So for these two teams, it is a change in fortune that has seen itself play out here.
Well, and you know, both of you guys from 2 years of calling these games, you know what I like to see every now and then. Keeping the keeper on their toes, firing them out from the 18-yard box, from places that you think maybe the guy's out of range, you don't think he has an angle for. Just launch a dinger. Maybe it finds the back of the net. Maybe it goes off the woodwork. Fullerton hasn't made many attacking runs so far in the game. Do they just need to start letting balls fly and hope they find their way to the back of the net to keep that goalie for Cuyamaca on their toes?
Well, it's the old PSG model, and I don't want to say old because it's more of a newer facet of their
Accuracy by volume?
a little bit of that, but it's more just a, if you've watched PSG at all, open up, and I'm not saying that these guys are the same equivalent as PSG, but the style of the way that they decide how to get the ball to the other side of the field, you started off with the very opening kickoff. Opening kickoff, they kick out of bounds, but in the opponent's defending third, because it starts the ball further down on the other side of the field. I think this is the kind of the case for Fullerton. Not saying that they have to put that same model in, but sometimes and at some point you're just going to have to send a couple of balls far enough and get guys who can just go after it and chase it and at least get control of the corners. If you can get control of the corners, then now you're starting to feed your way towards the middle. In the early 6 minutes of this match, the way that Fullerton got their opening goal in the 8th minute actually is almost very similar to this. You kick the ball up, you go and you retrieve it, as this one gets poked away over towards the right-hand side. Cuyamaca trying to re-chase it. Here's a Rocks. He's trying to get there. He does turn the corner and is able to get it away for a second, almost taken away by the Hornets twice, and away goes Cuyamaca. But you are able to find success getting the ball in towards the corners, just outside the box, and feeding it towards the middle. They had 3 shots in the first 8 minutes of play, as this one's going to be taken away by Martinez, and that is how you get yourself back into it. Get the ball into the attacking third. If you have to go to the wings, go to the wings, but feed the ball towards the middle and get your shots on.
That's what BJ does, and you will see it a lot with Saddleback. Kick it as far as you can. We're going to go catch up with the ball. Do I always think that's the right way to play soccer? No. But BJ has players, and that's what it is. Like Ryan just said, I'm going to kick it down the field, and then everybody go find the little white pellet where you can. And that's how they've gotten involved offensively, because they're not that team that can outplay you by being a finesse team.
But if you've spent the first half of this match playing kickball, and as you were describing it, Ryan, kind of was thinking about the first half of play that we saw. They've been sending it down the center of the field, the main artery, if you will. They really haven't been playing down the wings and trying to feed it into the center. They've just kind of kickball down the main artery of the field, down the center of the field. And then, like Mark and I have been talking, it doesn't seem like they can win that foot race, though.
Yeah,
So how do you adjust in the second half?
It's going to be interesting to see the rest of the way how Fullerton does exactly that. How can they adjust? How can they find that attacking edge with under 35 minutes to play? But while Fullerton figures that out, we here at the broadcast want to remind you that you can discover Hornet Media, an arm of what you are watching here today. Hornet Media, your hub for all things Fullerton College. From news and sports to entertainment and podcasts, our student-produced content keeps you connected to campus life. Find us online, on air, and in print. Hornet Media, where student creativity meets professional quality. Under 34 minutes to play here in the second half. Fullerton College trailing at 4-1, position they haven't been in all too often. Very quickly, guys, we take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard as this ball goes up into the air, and it looks like a foul, actually offsides, excuse me, on the other side for Cuyamaca. Out-of-town scoreboard is very interesting today. 2-2, Pasadena, Santa Barbara. That was a final, so draw there. But what really intrigues me is Norco and Long Beach. Long Beach hosting Norco loses 5-0.
Norco's good. Norco's good. Don't discount Norco.
And the thing is, too, for Fullerton College, that's a program that they are very familiar with. They've played them multiple times in the last few years. Fullerton getting a variety of wins against a Norco program that has traditionally found themselves in the 3C 2A playoffs. But today, they find a very dominant win. There's a dummy over towards the right-hand side to Evan Courtney. Courtney tries to get to that ball, and it gets dispossessed by Josue Franco. Santa Monica and Golden West. Santa Monica 4, Golden West 1. That's a final there. San Diego City and Compton was a tough one. San Diego City 9, Compton 1. Then
Well, that's more points than the real football team scores. Compton's real football team doesn't score anything and is usually a negative in yardage.
Deep toss in. Fullerton trying to keep possession. That gets cleared away. San Bernardino Valley and Santa Ana. A 3-3 final there. As San Bernardino goes down to Santa Ana and is able to get a couple of late goals in that one to draw it up. Hartnell and Allen Hancock, a battle of a Northern California team and a Southern California team. A 4-1 win for Hartnell as they hosted Allen Hancock there. Back here in Southern California, Santiago Canyon, who is an Orange Empire Conference opponent, they end up with a 1-1 draw at LA Harbor. And then finally, as we round things up with the other matchup that has been reported to this point, you end up going to Lake Tahoe and Folsom Lake. And the reason why we point that out, Lake Tahoe, one of the wins for Fullerton College this season, they end up losing to Folsom Lake 3-0.
You know, I've heard that Lake Tahoe has the prettiest soccer field in all of California.
I would say it's at least top 2, maybe in the nation. If you've ever gotten a chance to look at Lake Tahoe and what their soccer field looks like, it is very literally as if you went into a forest, a deep redwood forest. Now, it's not redwoods, but it looks like it. And you just cut down a perfect rectangle and set down turf. It's not all grass, it's turf. You set down turf with the logo right in the middle, and that is where they play. It is right off of campus, and very literally every single sideline is bordered 15 feet away by pure pine and prettiness of the mountains around Lake Tahoe. Here's a header down the middle, an opportunity that's floated up into the air and kicked away by Oscar Feria.
You know, one thing when Joe brought up speed and everything else, one thing you can't teach, Joe, is speed. You can teach quickness. I can teach you how to break and be someplace before somebody else. But if it's a dead run, it's not going to happen. And this is what we're seeing right now, which, again, I know that Greg and Kenny and the entire staff for the Hornets is going to change it. And when we really get into that mono-y-mono OEC battles, at the end of the day, your Hornets are going to end up on top.
Well, and especially when you're trying to find your feet before conference play, you're trying to feel things out, and then you have somebody coming at you with a very high pace, high pressure offense, and it's just buckets and buckets of pressure. I mean, as you're trying to figure out things and kind of find your feet, they're not giving you the time or the space to do any of those things.
Here's Areola. Little chopper that ends up going towards the attacking third, intercepted there. Ruben Morales Guerrero is the one who goes back for it. Check down. Now Fullerton, one of the things that we saw them have a lot of success with last year that led to them scoring quite a bit, getting them into a rhythm, was connecting on passes. Can they connect going from defensive back line to midfield, midfield back up to forward, back to midfield, all the way back to defensive line? It didn't matter. As long as they were able to connect 6, 7, 8 passes in a row, they were able to continue up the park and get themselves into a rhythm. And it's what allowed for them to be able to get a lot of their scoring.
Well, I can hear the supporter section at the home side starting to come alive, cheering Fullerton on.
Just want my fellow partners to be standing here next to me while we're calling the game.
Joe's just chilly. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Joe was just chilling right then.
Chilly Joe. That's what they call me.
Don't forget, for those of you that love the other football this coming weekend, you'll be able to see that on sportsnetusa.net. Your Fullerton College Hornets will be going on there. Now, it's paragraph 5, section 3, part 2. Mark and promote Fullerton College football. They're taking on East LA as conference play starts. Won't be a Hornet broadcast, but it will be a traditional Fullerton College broadcast on. I'll keep that company out of the way. I already said their name once. I don't want anybody to throw me off the balcony here.
Liner down the middle. Areola intercepts, just like Mark intercepting his read, and sends it out on the far side for a throw-in.
Yeah, I just figured somebody'd want to hear a nice, pretty, smooth read. A little variety.
I think in football terms, you'd call that a pick and run.
No, that's a 6th grader, which is a pick and run. And somebody says, don't do that. That's disgusting.
My 3-year-old does that, so I think it's younger than a 6th grader, but it's all right.
3-1 Cuyamaca here on Hornet Radio.
4-1, Ryan.
4-1 Cuyamaca.
Ryan was doing something with his finger. I don't know.
Was he also doing a pick 6? Wait, what?
4-1 Cuyamaca here on Hornet Radio. We start to get a little goofy sometimes. Under 27 minutes to play here on Hornet Radio.
Lucky
Fullerton College gets a substitution in. Bryant Polmilter is going to be able to check out for Fullerton College. Ligeti comes back in. He's going to take more of an attacking role on the right-hand side for Fullerton College. And with under 27 minutes to play, we take a look at the Tech and Engineering Department here at Fullerton College. If you want to build your future with Fullerton College Tech and Engineering Division, you can do exactly that. Choose from 16 hands-on career training programs with certificates to associate degrees. Train in the state-of-the-art labs with expert instructors who will give you the real-world skills employers want. Your high-tech career starts right here with the Fullerton College Tech and Engineering Department.
Yeah, it was great, too. I like that sound effect of hammering a nail into metal. That was good. That was good.
That was one of the labs.
Yeah. Was that it?
That's exactly it.
Okay. All right. Are we through all these yet?
No, we got 2 more.
Oh, okay.
It's as bad as a kid on a road trip. Are we there yet?
Yeah, that's it.
When does this car stop? I
That's
want to
it.
get out.
You know, this is what happens
they-
when you broadcast from a room where the windows don't open. The oxygen starts, you know.
That's what's happening. The oxygen's real low in here.
They have been the weekday kickoff. They have been the weekday kickoff
Oh, that-
with under 26
Weekday kickoff
minutes
is
left.
your brain, baby.
Fullerton College trying to get back on the attack. Currently, they're trying to prevent something here from Cuyamaca, who brought in a couple of subs at last opportunity. Coming back onto the pitch was Juan Antonio Miranda, and he will end up patrolling on the right-hand side. Toss in for Cuyamaca. The Coyotes going from right to left here in this second half. And if you're watching online and didn't join us earlier, number 1, where were you? And number 2, Cuyamaca is in white and sky blue uniforms. Fullerton College in the navy blue. Cuyamaca looking to the attack on the left-hand side. Al-Maliki has the ball on this left-hand side. Ali looking for a teammate, turns it over, and finally it lands over towards Areola. Palacios on the chase. Popped into the air sky high, just past the attacking third for Cuyamaca, back to Palacios. Palacios on the spin. He finds Areola. Pushing up is Fullerton. They bring up their center back. Scooted over towards the right to Ligeti. Ligeti trying to chase after it, getting over towards the end line, and it is taken over in a foul by Ligeti. So
And-
you have one of the best runs here for Fullerton College in the second half, and the way that they get it is they bring their top 3 guys in terms of height on this right-hand side, and they all 3 of them get into the attack, and they get something going on the right with space, but they just aren't able to connect when they needed to.
And you watch the back line this time, Joe, start to emerge into the offensive set. And if they can do that and get a goal quick enough, they can get back in this game.
Well, no, they need to get a goal quick enough, and then another one, and then at least one more. But yes. It's math.
Which reminds me, Fullerton College math department here on campus. Under 24 minutes to play here as Fullerton is on the run. On the right-hand side, they have the advantage. The official says give it to Fullerton, and it is kicked and deflected away. So Carlos Montes Jr. was the one who got a piece of that right at the end. Little warning here with some heavy contact for the back line as it looks like Glowacki is going to take a seat and Jack Overton re-enters for Fullerton College. For Overton, so far this season, he has yet to record a point and is trying to get his first opportunity to do exactly that. Up into the air, clangs around the box, goes right back to Areola. Areola pops it up right towards the top of the box, and it is cleared out by Cuyamaca. Fullerton last year finished with a 15-4-5 record, a top 3 season record-wise in team history, a 10-0-4 record in conference, and they beat LA City right here on Football Fridays in the opening round of the playoffs, lost to Long Beach in the final moments of extra time, 1-0 in round number 2. So a very successful season for Fullerton last year. But you look at Fullerton last year, they were a very defensively oriented team. One of the things that we actually asked is, how is Fullerton going to find the offense that we need, or that they need, I should say. As this one popped over to Martinez. Martinez calls for the spacing, and he will find it. Now it's kind of flipped over. They've got the offense that they need, but how can they find that dependable combination for them to stop chances from taking place? Here this afternoon, Cuyamaca has been able to get a majority of the good chances in this one, as there's some heavy pressure and contact that gets booted back to Steven Martinez.
Well, if you watch the previous run, Cuyamaca takes it on the far side of the field. They outrun everybody from Fullerton up there. And what you need to do if you're a Fullerton player, lean on somebody. Make them feel your physicality. You're not just a finesse team. You've got to be a physical team to win in the game of soccer. And if you're a finesse team, boy howdy, you better be able to dribble. You better be able to trap the ball. And when you do, you need to put it on the goal.
To the right side, here's Overton towards the corner. Overton trying to swing it in, and it is taken over by the goalkeeping and successful goalkeeping of Francisco Martinez. He's been pretty good in this one. He has a couple of saves against Fullerton. That was mainly in the first 10 minutes of play. Fullerton hasn't really tested him in the back half of this one. With under 20 minutes to play, actually I should say just under 21 minutes to play in this one. Cuyamaca 4, Fullerton College 1. Fullerton College trying to get themselves back on the board.
You know, and at this stage of the game, too, you want to, Joe, okay, I've got to ask you and Ryan this, but Joe, you're getting ready to come into conference play, and conference play means everything to make the playoffs. Is this where you sort of say to everybody, this is what I want you to do, no more, I'm not sure where to be to get ready? Because if you take this into conference play, you may not end up where you thought you were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head with that, Mark. This is the time and place to, as fans, we don't like to see them figuring it out, right? We don't like to see what the scoreline currently is, but this is where what we would call preseason or whatnot, right? Pre-conference play. It's where you try to iron out the kinks. Once conference play starts, you better have those shirts nice and pressed and crisp, and you better be ready to show up.
So if you're doing laundry, you just can't throw it on a board and never iron the clothes. You got to make sure they take out all the wrinkles.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that I can't just lay the shirts down on my bed and then just decide, hey, you know what? They're good where they are and sleep just off to the side of them?
Well, you can, because somebody else in this booth does the same thing. So, I mean, you know, if you're following the leadership by example, I guess you can. Some of us like to look neat, like Cuyamaca does this night.
Whoa.
Free kick coming up here for Fullerton College.
Free laundry advice from Mark Pavlovich.
High floater, right post, and it will be picked up by Martinez. So Martinez was able to get to that one. Laundry's cleaned up. Mark Pavlovich is happy, and it's cleared away. Under 19 minutes to play in this one. 4-1 Cuyamaca with the lead.
I'd be a lot happier if Fullerton would score 2 goals. Then it'd be 4-3 final.
Ooh, that was some physicality starting to eke into the game, and you're kind of right, Mark. The refs this year
They
seem
let
to-
them play, don't they?
Yeah.
I think it's great because I love physical soccer. I think it's not a finesse game. It is that little bit of finesse, little bit of hardness, little bit of quickness. It's a variety of things. That's why it is one of the more popular sports in the world, could be the most popular sport in the world, and becoming one of the most popular sports in the United States.
I think some people would call it the world's game, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would. And some people might call it the game in the United States now.
Under 18 to play. 4-1 Cuyamaca with the lead. They are up by 3. Earlier in this one, they scored in the second minute to get the opening marker for both these two squads. Fullerton countered with a goal in the 8th. And that made it 1-1 momentarily for just about 3 minutes. And then Cuyamaca with back-to-back goals about 32 seconds apart. And they ended up taking a lead that they have not relinquished to this point. They got one 2 minutes into the second half to make it 4-1. And Fullerton College is trying to get at least a couple before this one goes away. Walking it to the end line successfully there is going to be Suarez, and Suarez will let that one go out. So now Fullerton College again with the ball trying to move up, and they have got to get something going offensively very quickly, running out of time here at House Scherbeck Field.
You know, the thing when you look at the roster for Cuyamaca, you've got to give them credit to with what Brian's done. These are all within the San Diego area. You look at all these teams, and you've got to say that, like Miranda, who went to Torrey Pines High School, of course, you know, he probably took a drama class from Marini Payne, so that's why he is one of the better players on this soccer team. But, I mean, they are homegrown, Ryan. I mean, that's one thing when you look at Cuyamaca. These are all kids from that area, not from all over. Says a lot about the head coach.
Yeah, and it really is more of a reputation thing as well, as This one is up into the air. It goes from goalkeeper to goalkeeper. Kickoff is complete, and the ball goes into the landing zone, as some would say. As you look at the reputations for both of these two programs, Mark, you look at Fullerton, they are known as a very academy-style program. We have heard a lot about that. We've talked a lot about that in the past, and the fact that Fullerton College runs their program very differently than most of the other teams across California do. And then you look at Cuyamaca, who is also continually brought out successful year after successful year after successful year. And it seems like every single time you go to look at the playoffs, Cuyamaca is there. They have won a state title in the past. They have been a state semifinalist in the past. And this is a team in Cuyamaca that has the opportunity every single year, in and out, to be able to have success. And their student athletes prove exactly that.
Yeah, it says a lot for the program and the coach and their entire staff over there and the school itself.
Here's Ariola to Ligeti, who lets it fly. That one gets blocked.
Another thing I'll give Cuyamaca in this game, guys, is they're still piling on the pressure. You're up 4-1. Let's just say 15 minutes left in the game. If you were to park the bus, this would be primetime parking. This would be where you would do it, just kind of coast, let it sit there, and just kind of sit on your lead. You're up 3. Why not? But they're not taking their foot off the gas.
Well, and Joe, but here's the other thing, too. If you do now sit on your lead and you play defensive soccer, now you say to Fullerton, bring everybody down and attack us. If you don't keep the back line where we talked about them staying all night long and not playing that well, then you can allow them to leak in. Then Greg gets to bring in people that could be maybe more of an offensive threat, not a defensive threat. And so you're not going to let Fullerton dictate your lineup, and we're not going to allow them to have a lineup that they may want.
And guys, also flip it towards the other side. If you're Fullerton College, how much of this are you able to look at and say, you know what? We played the defending state champions and ended up coming away with a 4-1 loss with a team that is very mixed in terms of veteran leadership and then also a lot of young guys who are just getting into their first seasons of collegiate soccer. You're going up against the defending champions who have a bunch of returners coming back from last year. Ariola with a shot that ends up going deflected wide off to the right. Another chance here for the Hornets. They're now piling on a lot of pressure. This one goes up into the night and over to the Breo Linda Hills.
Okay, so I'm going to put it on you if you're the coach. Are you feeding me an excuse if you say that to me?
No, I think he's saying it's respectable play.
Yeah.
Defending state champions. We know where Fullerton landed last year in the postseason play.
I think if you're a coach, the immediate response to what I just said is, I don't even want to hear it. Because we had the opportunity to play them on equal footing here tonight, and you just didn't get the result that you wanted and at home.
And we beat them last year when we encountered them. But sometime.
Yeah, that was last year.
Sometime between last year and today, they're a different team.
And for Cuyamaca, they got, I mean, not to say that they weren't good, but they got hot in a hurry. Immediately following that matchup against Fullerton College, they rattled off a decent unbeaten streak in conference. And then, of course, going into the playoffs, obviously you are continuing an unbeaten streak because if not, you wouldn't be a state champion. But you see them roll out after Fullerton College and after playing that matchup, losing to Fullerton 2-0, and then all of a sudden they get on a roll. They get better and better and better as the season goes along. And they find themselves in good matchups in the playoffs. They get to the state championship. They win the state championship. And it's a first for that program overall, but it also goes back to what you were talking about, Mark. Reputation, reputation, reputation. You already had a reputation of being a good program. You add a state title to it, and now all of a sudden, any talent that you're looking at in San Diego, it looks like you have carte blanche.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. You guys, you and Joe were doing the majority of the broadcast when you did the 100 wins for Greg here. And anybody who knows what the Hornet attitude is in athletics, when you say once a Hornet, always a Hornet, we had a former football player on during one of the football games, and he said to one of our students, we expect to win here at Fullerton College. Greg has created that atmosphere for all the players that come here, too.
Oh, absolutely.
So any
Especially-
loss is devastating.
especially when you talk to some of the student athletes who have gone on to the next level. They watch these games. They also come to these games and support not only their former teammates, but just the program in general. And these are the same sentiments that you hear from these guys as you hear, we expect a winning program and an opportunity to win every time you step out onto the pitch. Unfortunately for Fullerton, Andrew Ariola having a little trouble getting up off the turf after that last collision. Fullerton with the advantage, so they're going to play to it. Official taking a look. Here's Leggetti. Leggetti takes a shot that ends up getting deflected away. And Ariola is going to be attended to by the Fullerton College athletic training staff. But again, this is a Fullerton College program that is expected to win. And I think if you talk to Greg Aviles, that will be one thing that he'll come away from this matchup with, is he'll say, you know what? We just weren't good enough here tonight. We can reset. We can kind of turn the page on this one and say, hey, let's take it out of our minds. It's just one that didn't go our way. We just weren't able to go out there and play the way that we wanted to. And you take it out of your mind very quickly. But he will say, nonetheless, it is still a match that he feels that he had an opportunity to, especially getting the tying marker with just about 8 minutes gone in the first half. You will talk to him and he'll say, we have the opportunity to win. If we play our game, can win, and we just didn't do it tonight. Under 9 minutes to play, coming up in just a few moments. Ariolo able to be helped by the athletic training staff for Fullerton College. A free kick coming up for Fullerton, as it looks like it's going to be Leggetti who steps up to it for the Hornets. As we mentioned before, Galaxy Development Program, 3-time All-League selection to his credit. Offensive MVP for his team as this one's up in towards the box and gets cleared away for a moment off the header, and that one flies into the stands. While we have a second, Administration and Justice, a big program here on campus at Fullerton College. You can serve justice with Fullerton College's Administration of Justice programs. Train for careers in law enforcement, security, court administration, and paralegal work. Our ABA-approved paralegal program and criminal justice courses give you the skills for a meaningful career in justice. Protect and serve. Start your training today.
So if Country Joe were to take this, would he become Country Sheriff Joe or Sheriff Country Joe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Actually, I think he would just become Sheriff Country.
Not Sheriff Joe?
No. It's Sheriff Country. It's like Big Country, but better.
It could be like Sheriff John, Sheriff Joe. For all of you old people out there like me, red light, green light.
Spinner over towards the left, goes
I
out.
remember playing that
Throw
game.
in. Red light, green light.
Yeah.
That's when you drank your milk with Sheriff John. Red light, you wouldn't drink it. He'd yell green light, and you'd start drinking your milk at lunchtime. Joe does that with coffee.
No, for Joe, that's just green light. It's coffee.
All gas, no brakes, baby. Where's my energy drink?
That's what the Hornet offense needs to do.
Here's a header
All
here
gas,
for the Hornets.
no break.
Tough one there, Palacios. Palacios had a little bit of more time than he realized that he did there, Mark. He finds himself in between two defenders. The ball goes to his chest. Credit to him for getting a shot on, because Fullerton has not had a shot since the first half. But in this case, if you're Fullerton College, you have a little extra time to work with. And as the season goes along, that's something that those strikers are going to get a chance to be able to pick up on later.
And you guys brought it up. You've got to have more than one person that can be that offensive threat. If not, then I'm just going to watch for you to get the ball because you're the guy that's going to score, and I'm going to drop two defenders on you, and you're going to get mugged every time you touch the ball. So they've got to find that counterpart to help out Palacio when there's an offensive attack.
Well, or you play the way Cuyamaca is playing, and you have guys that can run up and down both sides of the field all night long, don't seem to get tired. And again, I'm going to keep saying it, they are piling on the pressure.
Under 6 to play in this one. Fullerton College and Cuyamaca battling to the end of this one. 4-1, Cuyamaca with the lead, and they are trying to add to it here with a corner on that far side of the pitch. Couple guys moving around. Al-Maliki taking a look. Set play. Deliverance inside the box. Here's a chance that shot goes up and high. Header just inside, ends up going up and wide. So that one goes out and away. A goal kick coming up. And as Fullerton moves up the park, you can transform your life and launch your beauty career with FC's cosmetology program. Complete your 1,600-hour training in just 1 year with our day program, or choose evenings over 2.5 years. With flexible schedules and comprehensive training, your beauty career starts here at Fullerton College.
Remember, guys, when you look good, you feel good.
You know, and that's why everybody in Cosmo came up to me and said, can we just, you know, fashion that mustache of yours because you're so good looking, and that mustache is just a wonderful thing to gaze at. And so that's why the people in Cosmo, thank you. I appreciate them all with all their hard work
I think
and open-minded judgment.
I think they were trying to do a public service and shave that off of his face.
We are doing a public service. Guy's been waiting for the 43 bus behind me, and he's still here. It's driven by 4 times.
Here's a chance for the Hornets. Scooter on the right-hand side. Now an opportunity for Acosta. Acosta's going to swing it to his left. A chance down the middle, and it's just cleared away for a second. Hornets chasing after it, can't get to it in time. And finally, Cuyamaca is able to get it away. So some chances there for Paul Acosta and Michael Espinoza, but they just miss on connection.
Is
And
that
Fullerton will have to bring it back.
is that great coverage on Cuyamaca's part, or is that just, again, Fullerton not quite being in position where they should be?
Actually, I think it's Fullerton was where they needed to be. It's just that they couldn't connect on the pass. I think that they had the run that they wanted. They had the opportunities that they wanted. And Cuyamaca's back line missed marking a guy on that back post. And they needed to do exactly that. Fullerton caught them kind of backpedaling a little bit too much, but they just couldn't connect on the pass. You connect on that pass, and it's 4-2.
So Fullerton starting to get the pieces in place.
As Palacios sends this one sky high, just missed it, and that's exactly what we were just talking about. You get some pressure on the right side and swing it towards the middle, and Fullerton is going to have those chances. Palacios is going to look to the air. He's had a couple of good chances in this one besides the goal that he scored earlier, and it continues to be 4-1. So if you're Fullerton College, I think you can take away from this one the fact that you found out that if you swing the ball out wide and bring it towards the middle on those in-swingers, on those floaters, it's gotten you a lot of chances.
And Ryan, when you saw Palacio, every once in a while what people do to both of you guys is when it's swung in the middle, everybody thinks they need to drive it home. And when they drive it home, they catch it off, sometimes off the toe, and hit the sailor. All you have to do is direct it into the goal, not kill it into the goal.
Foul against Fullerton College with under 3 minutes to play in this one. Yellow card is awarded. It looks like it will be to Josias Palacios. Palacios saying, hey, what did I do here? And the official just coming over to him and saying, hey, you know what? Wasn't anything too dangerous, but you have to make sure that you keep yourself under control if you're going to go into a collision. And with 2.5 left in this one, so in the 87th minute, Palacios gets a booking, and it is 16 cards on the season.
You know, let's give it to the referee and to the line judges against. I've seen numerous OEC games this year, and it has been one of those ones where they have let physicality go on, and there's been no stoppage time because they've tried to get somebody up. Now a player from Cuyamaca, Ryan, went up to get it, and just I think he came down wrong on a turf field, and that's why he's down on the ground right now.
And that's pretty much exactly what the official is also telling the athletic training staff for Fullerton College, and then also the coaching staff on the far side for Cuyamaca taking a look as well to see who is down on the field for the Coyotes. Quick reminder that if you want more Fullerton College soccer, we have more of the weekday kickoff coming up next week. That will also be on Tuesday. So if you've got the opportunity, tune in here, or if you want to be able to watch it later, you aren't able to watch it live, it is archived immediately right here on Hornet Radio. And Fullerton College is going to get a chance of, if I'm not mistaken, guys, 3 straight weeks of matches here at Fullerton House Scherbeck Field and here on Hornet Radio.
And visit all the sites that Ryan talked about tonight. There are careers waiting for you here at Fullerton College. Or maybe you're an old person like me and said, hey, I don't like being retired. Go and find something that will bring joy to your life. And you've already talked about it, Ryan. You could end up getting involved in journalism. You could go to multimedia with Hornet Radio. You could just say, you know what? I've always wanted to learn how to take care of my own car. I've never done that. Like we have a lot of women that we know went to automotive. So, hey, community colleges all over Southern California, the best place to go to maybe start a new career or just decide to find something new that you've never done before.
Ball deflects away from 2, goes all the way back to Francisco Martinez. And he's going to take it over. Official looking at his watch and pointing over and saying, 1 minute. Let's finish this one up pretty quickly here.
I was going to say, the scoreboard stopped it too. We're in OEC mystery time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always amazing. From 2 minutes on, it could be like an ELAC football game. 2 minutes could last an hour and 17 seconds.
Well, it lasts even longer when someone eats your tacos.
Oh, well, that's...
Well, that's the ELAC time dilation effect. And I mean, really, in East LA, sometimes time is really a non-linear progression. You have to think of it more or less as like a big, wibbly, wobbly ball of timey-wimey stuff sometimes.
And that'll probably get stolen by another broadcaster at another community college. Next year, you're going to hear him saying timey-wimey, and you're going to say, wait a minute, he already stole football from Fullerton College.
Which reminds me, print your future with Fullerton College's Print Technology program. Get hands-on training with modern high-speed equipment and earn industry certifications from PIASC and FTA. From offset printing to digital pre-press, we'll prepare you for a rewarding career in the printing industry.
And
Start
you're right.
today.
You can't steal it because it'll be copywritten. And therefore, when you do that, we'll get our attorneys involved.
We have attorneys?
Someplace.
Okay.
I think for us, we don't have attorneys. We just have knees that turn.
Becky liked that.
I thought they bent. What have I been doing wrong?
That's why we're up here, not down there playing the game. 4-1 Cuyamaca.
Can you imagine Ryan, Joe, Corey, and Mark on the field?
I have to figure out.
None of them are moving.
Well, they don't know how to turn their knees.
That's true. That's true. Coming up on the end of this one, the official taking a look at his watch a couple more times, brings his whistle to his mouth, and he will call it. So that's going to do it in this one, 4-1. Cuyamaca with the win. As we wrap this one up, do not forget that Fullerton College is going to be right back here on Hornet Radio as the Fullerton College Hornets get set to continue their march towards the CCCCAAAA 3C2A playoffs right here on Hornet Radio. So the next matchup, if you're going to watch it live, it's that Norco program that we talked about next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We'll also have Santa Ana coming to town at 3 p.m. the following Tuesday as well. That's going to do it for us here today. We want to thank the CRTV 145 program for coming out here, making sure that they bring you the visuals. A big thank you to Becky Nguyen for being on the controls there. Corey Nalen directly behind us as our producer. And for Joseph Pavlenko and Mark Pavlovich, I'm Ryan Osborne, thanking you for joining us a final of 4-1 Cuyamaca over top of Fullerton College. We will see you next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for Fullerton and Norco. You are watching Fullerton College Soccer and the weekday kickoff on Hornet Radio.